Alex Freeman stood at the observation deck of the U.S. horizon, staring at the blue-green planet below. Earth had been placed under quarantine by the Galactic Confederation 3 decades ago, its atmosphere surrounded by an impenetrable energy barrier. The official reason: humans were too violent, too unpredictable, and needed time to evolve before joining galactic society. "Still brooding, Commander?" asked Captain Laura Wright, joining him at the viewport. 30 years, Laura. 30 years we've been trapped on what they call a Deathworld. As if Earth was somehow more dangerous than their sanitized colonies. The stars seemed colder from this vantage point, millions of kilometers above humanity's prison. Alex clenched his fist as he remembered the day the aliens arrived. He had been just 10 years old when massive ships appeared in skies worldwide. They didn't attack. They simply announced that humanity was being contained for the good of the galaxy. "The Council meets tomorrow to vote on extending the quarantine another 50 years, Laura said quietly. "Our intelligence suggests it will pass unanimously." Alex's jaw tightened. "Then Operation Phoenix proceeds as planned." Laura nodded grimly. "The first Phantom ships are ready. If our calculations are correct, they'll pass through the barrier undetected. And if they're wrong, then we've wasted 15 years of secret development, and we're stuck here for another half-century." Alex turned from the viewport to face the holographic display of Earth's defense systems. The aliens thought their barrier was perfect, an energy field tuned to prevent any matter from Earth passing through. What they didn't understand was how adaptable humans could be when cornered. "The aliens made one fundamental mistake," Alex said, bringing up the classified files on the Phantom Project. "They assumed that because their worlds are gentler than Earth, their technology must be superior. They never considered that living on a death world might give us advantages." Laura smiled thinly. "Higher gravity, more extreme weather, greater biodiversity of predators and pathogens. All things that made us stronger," Alex finished. "While they were evolving on paradise planets, our ancestors were surviving ice ages and building civilizations in deserts and tundras." The ship's comm system chimed. "Commander Freeman, General Collins requests your presence in the war room. Final briefing for Operation Phoenix begins in 15 minutes. "Acknowledged," Alex replied. "Tell him we're on our way." As they walked through the corridors of the orbiting station, one of dozens hidden from the aliens' monitoring systems, Alex felt a strange mix of dread and hope. Humanity had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, developing technologies in secret, training pilots and soldiers, and building an understanding of alien psychology. "Do you think they'll negotiate once they realize we've broken free?" Laura asked. Alex shook his head. "The Confederation has spent 3 decades telling the galaxy that humans are dangerous savages. They can't admit they were wrong without losing face. So it's war then? Not if we can help it. The plan isn't to fight them. It's to show them they completely misunderstood us. We need to demonstrate strength without aggression." They'd reached the war room doors, which slid open to reveal a team of Earth's best strategists gathered around a massive tactical display. General Collins looked up as they entered. "Freeman, right. Good. We just received confirmation from the underground bases. The Phantom fleet is fueled and crews are boarding. Launch window opens in 6 hours." Alex nodded. "Then humanity breaks its chains tonight." What the Confederation didn't understand, what they had critically overlooked, was that Earth's harsh conditions hadn't weakened humanity. They had forged it. High Counselor Vrax of the Galactic Confederation addressed the assembly, his tentacles gesturing toward holographic displays of Earth. "The human homeworld remains classified as Deathworld Category 5. Gravity 30% higher than galactic standard. Extreme weather patterns, dangerous wildlife, microbial threats, and most concerning, the humans themselves, a species that evolved as persistence predators." The council chamber glowed with soft blue light, highlighting the 12 representatives of the most powerful species in the galaxy. None of them looked remotely human. Some floated in special gravity tanks, others breathed through filters, and a few were completely enclosed in environmental suits. Counselor Ilara of the Estrelli rose, her crystalline form catching the light. We've contained them successfully for 30 of their years. My proposition is simple. Extend the quarantine for another 50. Eventually, they'll either destroy themselves or become worthy of inclusion. Murmurs of agreement filled the chamber. The Confederation had prospered in an era of peace, largely because dangerous species were identified early and prevented from reaching the stars. The monitoring satellites show no signs of unusual activity, continued Ilara. Their technology advances predictably, but slowly since we limited their resources. Their violent tendencies continue. They've had 27 regional conflicts during the quarantine period. Only Science Minister Krell seemed concerned. The small, gray-skinned alien adjusted his breathing apparatus before speaking. We may be underestimating them. Our monitoring shows accelerated technological development, particularly in propulsion systems and energy weapons. Those are defensive measures only, countered Vrax. Expected for a species that knows it's being watched. Krell shook his head. There's something else. Energy readings from their polar regions have shown unusual patterns, and their space activities have decreased by 40% in the last 5 years. Meaning they've accepted their confinement, said Ilara smugly. Or they're hiding something, Krell replied. Remember, humans evolved in conditions that would kill most of us instantly. Their physical capabilities exceed those of our strongest species. Their endurance is unmatched, and their history shows remarkable adaptability. Vrax waved a dismissive tentacle. Impossible. The barrier prevents any ship from leaving their atmosphere. They're completely isolated. The science minister tried one last argument. A species that survived multiple ice ages, built civilizations in every climate zone, and developed space travel despite their high gravity might not react to isolation as we expect. Your concerns are noted, Krell, but the evidence is clear, said Vrax firmly. Humans remain primitive and confined. I call for a vote on extending the quarantine for another 50 Earth years. The motion passed 12-1, with only Krell dissenting. As the council adjourned, Krell approached Vrax privately. At least consider sending a direct inspection team. Our reliance on automated monitoring could be missing something important. The decision is made, Science Minister, Vrax replied coldly. Perhaps you've been studying humans too closely and have adopted their tendency toward needless worry. Krell walked away, troubled. In his research chamber, he reviewed the data one more time. Something wasn't right. The energy readings from Earth's polar regions, they pulsed in patterns that seemed almost like tests of the barrier's frequencies. He sent an urgent message to the monitoring station nearest Earth. Increase surveillance. Check for anomalies in the barrier's energy matrix. The reply came hours later. No anomalies detected. Barrier integrity at 100%. Human activities normal. Krell sighed. Perhaps he was overreacting. After all, no species had ever escaped a Confederation quarantine. None of them realized they had just made a catastrophic miscalculation. The single detail the Confederation had overlooked was fundamental. On a world with higher gravity, more atmospheric pressure, and harsher conditions than 98% of inhabited planets, humans had evolved exceptional physical and mental resilience. In the underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Olivia Martins demonstrated this oversight to military leaders. The vast complex, hidden from alien surveillance by kilometers of rock, housed Earth's greatest secret, its true technological advancement. The Confederation species evolved on worlds with gravity ranging from 0.6 to 0.8 of Earth's. Their bodies never needed to develop our bone density, muscle mass, or cardiovascular efficiency. She displayed comparative anatomical holograms. What they see as a Deathworld shaped us into what they fear most, a species perfectly adapted to survive conditions that would kill them. General Frank Collins nodded grimly. And our isolation forced us to innovate, replied Engineer Daniel Jackson, activating a hologram of a sleek craft. The Phantom-class ship uses principles they couldn't anticipate because they don't exist on their worlds. We've turned their barrier's own energy signature against it. The ship on display looked nothing like conventional spacecraft. Its hull seemed to shimmer, almost transparent at certain angles. We discovered that the barrier operates on what we call phase-locked energy, Daniel explained. It's designed to repel matter in our standard phase state, but by adjusting our ships to resonate at the exact inverse frequency, we can slip through undetected, finished Dr. Martinez, like passing through a door instead of breaking down a wall. General Collins walked around the hologram, studying it from all angles. And you're certain their monitoring systems won't detect the breach. We've tested it with unmanned probes for 2 years, Daniel confirmed. The barrier reads the phase shift as minor energy fluctuations, something they attribute to solar activity. Dr. Martinez brought up another display, showing the solar system. Their focus has always been on preventing us from leaving Earth. They pay almost no attention to Mars or our other planetary neighbors. A third display activated, showing massive underground structures on the red planet. For 15 years, we've been sending stealth construction drones to Mars. They've built manufacturing facilities, habitats, and launch sites, all powered by fusion reactors and completely self-sufficient. How soon can we deploy? Asked Collins. The first fleet is ready now, Daniel answered. 500 ships that can pass through their impenetrable barrier. Colonel Lisa Bennett, head of military operations, stepped forward. Each ship carries a crew of 6 and can travel at speeds the aliens believe impossible for our technology level. Once through the barrier, they'll proceed to Mars to activate the facilities. And from there, prompted Collins. Phase 2 begins, Lisa replied. We'll build a proper fleet, not for war, but to secure our freedom. Our goal isn't to fight the Confederation, but to demonstrate that we can't be contained. Dr. Martinez nodded. We've spent 30 years studying their psychology. They respect strength but fear aggression. By showing we can break free without violence, we force them to negotiate. General Collins looked at each person in the room. This operation represents humanity's greatest gamble. If we succeed, we join the galactic community on our terms. If we fail, we won't fail, Daniel said firmly. They've watched us through their satellites and probes, but they've never truly understood us. They don't grasp that necessity breeds innovation, that pressure creates progress, that challenges forge strength. Operation Phoenix is go, Collins announced after a moment of silence. Alert all command centers. Launch in 24 hours. Across the planet, in similar bunkers and hidden bases, thousands of men and women prepared for humanity's greatest leap, not just beyond Earth's atmosphere, but beyond the prison that had contained them for 3 decades. The night the quarantine was extended, humanity launched its response. Pilot Samantha Rodriguez sat in the cockpit of her Phantom-class vessel, heart pounding as the countdown reached 0. 500 identical ships launched simultaneously from hidden bases worldwide. Phantom 217 ready for departure, she reported, running through final systems checks. Her craft was unlike any conventional spacecraft. Sleek, almost translucent when its phase shift systems were active, and designed to slip through the alien barrier like a ghost through a wall. Around her, 5 other crew members monitored their stations. Navigation Officer Ben Harris, Weapons Specialist Kelly Peterson, Engineer Carl Wilson, Communications Officer Maria Lopez, and Science Officer Greg Chen, all volunteers for a mission that could lead to freedom or disaster. All Phantom vessels, this is command, came General Collins' voice through the secure channel. The Confederation has officially extended our quarantine. Their satellites show no signs of detecting our preparations. Launch sequence commencing. Samantha felt the familiar weight of acceleration as her ship rose from its underground hangar, emerging through a hidden mountain passage. Across the planet, hundreds of identical ships were doing the same, rising from oceans, deserts, and forests. Remember your training, came Commander Freeman's voice over the comm. Their shield technology was designed to withstand conventional force, but our ships are calibrated to phase shift at precisely the barrier's resonant frequency. Samantha guided her craft upward, watching the shimmering barrier grow closer. For 3 decades, it had been humanity's prison ceiling. From the ground, it was invisible, but from her current altitude, it appeared as a faint iridescent dome covering the entire planet. Approaching barrier in 60 seconds, reported Ben. Phase shift systems at optimal parameters. All crew secure for barrier transition. Samantha ordered. We don't know exactly how this will feel. The ship climbed higher, and the barrier now filled their entire forward viewport, a shimmering wall of energy that had contained humanity for a generation. Initiating phase shift in 3, 2, 1. Samantha activated the system and felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. The ship shuddered slightly, and the barrier seemed to thicken, becoming more visible as they approached. A moment of resistance, then her ship slipped through as if passing through water. Behind her, Earth's barrier remained intact, giving no indication of the breach. Transition complete, announced Ben, his voice slightly awed. We're outside the barrier, Commander. Samantha checked her sensors. All around them, other Phantom ships were emerging, their phase shift systems making them appear ghostly against the blackness of space. Phantom Squadron reporting successful barrier penetration, she transmitted. All units accounted for. For a moment, her crew sat in stunned silence. They were the first humans to leave Earth's atmosphere in 30 years. Any sign of alarm from the monitoring satellites? Maria asked, checking her communications display. None, replied Greg. They've registered some energy fluctuations, but their systems are attributing it to solar flare activity, just as we predicted. Samantha input the next set of coordinates. Setting course for Mars. All ships maintain phase shift status until we're beyond lunar orbit. The first human ships to leave Earth in 30 years accelerated toward Mars, where the real work would begin. Back on Earth, in the underground command center, General Collins watched the fleet's progress on the tactical display. 500 green dots moving away from the blue sphere of Earth, completely undetected by the alien monitoring systems. Phase 1 complete, he reported to the waiting world leaders. Operation Phoenix is proceeding as planned. The birds have left the nest. For the first time in 3 decades, humanity had taken its destiny back into its own hands. While the Confederation monitored Earth, they paid little attention to Mars, a planet they considered too hostile for settlement. That was their second mistake. For 15 years, unmanned probes had been constructing massive facilities beneath the Martian surface, controlled remotely from Earth. Now, human boots touched Martian soil for the first time as the Phoenix Squadron landed. Colonel Ryan Porter stepped out of his ship and looked across the red landscape. The thin atmosphere required him to wear a breathing mask, but the lower gravity made him feel strangely light after a lifetime on Earth. Phantom 217 to command. We've landed successfully at Site Alpha, he reported, watching as the other ships touched down around him. 500 vessels arranged in neat rows across the rusty plain. Proceed to entrance point and activate the facility, came the response from Earth. Ryan signaled to his team, and they moved toward what appeared to be an ordinary rock formation. Engineer Carl Wilson approached a specific boulder and placed his hand on its surface. A hidden scanner read his biometrics, and with a low rumble, the ground began to open. A massive door slid away, revealing a sloping tunnel leading deep underground. Colonel Ryan Porter led his team into the underground complex, amazed at what Earth's robots had accomplished. Vast manufacturing centers, hydroponic farms, fusion reactors, all built in complete secrecy. It's incredible, breathed Kelly Peterson as they entered the main chamber. Lights activated automatically as they walked, revealing row after row of partially completed spacecraft. Much larger than the Phantom vessels, these were clearly designed for long-distance travel. Welcome to Freedom Base, said Dr. Elizabeth Howard, the operations chief scientist. She had arrived on the first ship and was already activating the facility's systems. From here, we'll build a fleet the Confederation isn't expecting and can't detect. The underground base extended for kilometers in every direction. In one area, robot assemblers stood ready to complete the spacecraft. In another, hydroponic gardens were already growing the first crops. Power generators hummed quietly, providing energy for the entire operation. "How long until we're operational?" Ryan asked. "The automated systems have already constructed the framework for 2,000 vessels, with human crews to finish and pilot them. We'll be ready in 6 months." Ryan nodded. "And the Confederation still believes we're securely caged on Earth. Their monitoring satellites show nothing unusual. As far as they know, we're still licking our wounds from the quarantine extension." Elizabeth pulled up a holographic display showing the positions of alien monitoring stations. "They have one small outpost orbiting Mars, but it's focused on scientific readings, not security. They never imagined we could reach this far." Over the next days, more ships arrived from Earth, bringing specialists in various fields. Engineers, scientists, pilots, and soldiers, all chosen for their skills and sworn to secrecy. In a communications center deep within the facility, Ryan received regular updates from Earth. Operation Phoenix was proceeding perfectly. The Confederation remained completely unaware that humans had breached their barrier. "We're converting the manufacturing lines to produce more Phantom drives," reported Carl during an evening briefing. "With the resources available here, we can equip the entire fleet with phase shift capability." "What about weapons?" asked Kelly. "Defensive systems only," Elizabeth reminded her. "This isn't about starting a war. It's about demonstrating that we can't be contained." Ryan looked around at the growing operation. Already, the first level of habitation was ready, with more being prepared each day. Soon, thousands of humans would live and work on Mars, building humanity's path to the stars. 6 months to prepare humanity's response to 30 years of imprisonment. 6 months to show the galaxy that Earth's Deathworld conditions hadn't weakened its children. They had made them unstoppable. The Confederation outpost on Proxima Centauri was considered a backwater assignment. Nothing ever happened there. That changed when Lieutenant Nora Williams led the first strike team of Earth's Liberation Fleet into the facility. The human ships appeared seemingly from nowhere, their phase shift technology rendering them invisible until the final moment. By the time the outpost's sensors detected them, 20 Horizon-class vessels had already surrounded the station. "This is Lieutenant Nora Williams of Earth Vessel Liberty. Your station is surrounded. We request immediate peaceful surrender and control of your communication systems." Inside the outpost, the alien staff froze in confusion and fear. Most had never seen a human before, knowing them only from educational materials about dangerous quarantine species. Station Commander Zev Tal hit the alarm button, but it was already too late. The station's defenses had been designed to repel conventional attacks, not ships that could phase through shields. The airlock opened, and Nora led her team inside. They wore standard Earth military uniforms with breathing adapters. No heavy armor or weapons beyond simple stun devices. This was deliberate. The mission was to demonstrate capability without appearing threatening. The alien guards surrendered almost immediately, having never encountered humans before. Most Confederation species knew humans only as theoretical threats contained safely on a distant Deathworld. "We're not here to harm anyone," Nora announced through her translator, "but we are taking control of this facility and its communication systems." Commander Zev Tal approached cautiously, his 3 eyes blinking rapidly in the Proximan gesture of confusion. "How is this possible? Humans are contained on Earth." "No longer," Nora replied simply. "Please instruct your staff to cooperate. No one will be harmed." Within an hour, the humans had secured the entire outpost. Engineer Paul Mason was already working on the communication systems, rerouting them to connect with other human teams. Proxima outpost secured, Nora reported back to Fleet Command. No resistance, no casualties. Similar reports flooded in from across nearby star systems. Within hours, similar operations had secured 27 outposts across 6 star systems, all without a single casualty on either side. The Confederation's frontier defense network had fallen to humanity in less than a day. From the bridge of the flagship Freedom, Admiral Simon Butler prepared to broadcast across all Confederation channels. The massive vessel, built in the shipyards of Mars, represented the pinnacle of human engineering, sleek, powerful, and equipped with technology the aliens had never anticipated. All stations report success. Admiral, announced his communications officer. We have control of the entire frontier network. The Confederation core worlds have not yet been notified. Simon nodded, straightening his uniform. This moment would define humanity's future among the stars. Open channel to all Confederation frequencies, he ordered. The view screen showed the broadcast reaching outward, touching every Confederation world and outpost simultaneously. Simon stood tall, his expression calm but determined. This is Admiral Butler of Earth. For 30 years, you've imprisoned our species without trial or representation. Today, that imprisonment ends. We seek neither revenge nor conquest, only our rightful place among the stars. We invite the Confederation Council to meet with our representatives within 14 days. Choose wisely. He ended the transmission and turned to his second-in-command. Now we wait. Their response will tell us everything. Within minutes, Confederation emergency channels erupted with activity. Civilian traffic became chaotic as news spread that the quarantined humans had somehow escaped. Across Confederation space, panic spread as the impossible became reality. Humans had escaped their cage, and rather than the violent invasion they had feared, the humans offered negotiations. The species that had evolved on a Deathworld had changed the galaxy forever without firing a single shot. The emergency session of the Confederation Council was chaos. High Counselor Vrax struggled to maintain order as representatives from dozens of species demanded explanations. How did they breach the barrier? Demanded one. Are they attacking civilian targets? Asked another. Where did they get such advanced ships? Questioned a third. The council chamber, normally a place of measured debate, had become a scene of near panic. Vrax pounded his control panel, the sound echoing through the vast hall. Order. We must maintain order. His tentacles waved in agitation. Military command will brief us on the situation. Fleet Admiral Zorketh, a tall insectoid being, stepped to the central platform. His compound eyes reflected the worried faces of the council members. The humans have secured 27 of our outer monitoring stations, he reported grimly. They appeared without warning, using technology that allowed them to bypass our defensive shields. They met minimal resistance because they employed non-lethal tactics. Non-lethal? Asked Counselor Ilara, her crystalline form trembling slightly. But humans are violent predators. The reports are consistent, continued Zorketh. No Confederation personnel have been harmed. The humans have simply taken control of our communication network. Science Minister Krell finally managed to speak. I've analyzed their ships and tactics. They could have attacked our homeworlds but chose military outposts instead. There have been no casualties, only demonstrations of capability. How did they escape the quarantine? Demanded Vrax. The barrier was impenetrable. Krell's expression was somber. They developed phase shift technology, something we believed was decades beyond their capabilities. They turned our own containment field against us, using its resonant frequency to pass through it undetected. A murmur of disbelief ran through the chamber. We severely underestimated them, Krell continued. Their Deathworld environment didn't hold them back. It pushed them to innovate in ways we never anticipated. The central communication array suddenly activated. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, a human woman in a formal uniform. I am Ambassador Julia Hayes of Earth. We request permission to send a delegation to your council. The council erupted again. Some called for immediate military action, others for negotiation. Vrax struggled to regain control. "This is outrageous," he shouted. "These quarantined savages dare to demand an audience." Krell moved closer to the hologram. "Ambassador Hayes, how should we interpret your species' actions? Is this an act of war?" Julia's expression remained calm. "It is an act of liberation, Minister Krell. Had we wanted war, we would not have taken such care to ensure no casualties. We seek recognition and dialogue, not conflict." After tense deliberation, the request was granted. 3 days later, Julia stood before the council, explaining what the Confederation had failed to understand. "You saw our planet as a prison," she said. "We saw it as a crucible that forged us. Earth's gravity gave us strength. Its pathogens gave us immunity. Its predators taught us vigilance. Its weather taught us adaptability. Everything you feared about us. These are the qualities that helped us overcome your barrier." She displayed holographic images of Earth, its diverse environments and people. "You called Earth a death world because it was different from your homes. But that difference created resilience, not savagery. We don't seek revenge for our containment. We seek partnership." Science Minister Krell's readings confirmed what many found hard to believe. Despite their impressive physiology, the humans showed no hostile intent, only a determination to be free. "What are your terms?" asked Vrax reluctantly. "Recognition of Earth as a sovereign member of the galactic community, freedom to travel and trade, and a promise that no other species will be quarantined without representation and due process." The vote that followed was not unanimous, but the outcome was clear. Humanity would join the stars. 1 year after Operation Phoenix, the quarantine barrier around Earth was officially dismantled in a ceremony attended by representatives from across the galaxy. The massive energy shield that had imprisoned humanity for 3 decades flickered and faded as joint teams of human and alien engineers deactivated it section by section. Cheers erupted from the crowds gathered below. While in orbit, ships from dozens of worlds witnessed the historic moment. On the rebuilt council, now including 2 human seats, Peter Davidson addressed the assembly. 30 years ago, you feared us because we came from what you called a death world. Today, we ask you to see Earth not as a prison or a threat, but as proof that adversity creates strength and diversity creates resilience." The council chamber looked very different now. Redesigned with input from human architects, it accommodated the environmental needs of all species while allowing direct interaction. No longer did representatives hide behind protective barriers or communicate solely through technology. "Humanity doesn't seek to dominate," Peter continued. "We seek to contribute. The same conditions that you feared have given us unique perspectives and abilities that can benefit everyone." Around the table, many of the aliens who had once voted to extend humanity's quarantine now nodded in agreement. Even High Counselor Vrax, who had initially resisted human inclusion, had changed his position after seeing the results of collaboration. The Galactic Confederation was transformed. Human engineers helped design ships that could withstand conditions previously considered impossible. Human medical researchers developed treatments for diseases that had plagued other species for centuries. On the frontier worlds, joint colonies began to flourish. Planets once deemed too harsh for settlement became thriving communities where humans worked alongside alien partners. Science Minister Krell, now a close ally of Earth, visited one such colony on a high-gravity world that had previously been ignored by the Confederation. "I never imagined seeing anything grow here," he told Dr. Olivia Martinez as they toured the settlement. "Your people have accomplished in months what we thought impossible." Olivia smiled. "It's similar to regions of Earth. Once you understand the environment, you can work with it rather than against it." In the shipyards orbiting Mars, which had once been humanity's secret base, vessels of new design were being constructed, collaborative projects incorporating the best technologies of multiple worlds. The Phantom phase shift drive had been refined and adapted, creating ships that could travel more efficiently than ever before. Admiral Simon Butler, now serving as Earth's defense coordinator, often reflected on how differently things could have gone. Had humans chosen aggression instead of demonstration, the galaxy might now be locked in war instead of cooperation. In schools across the Confederation, young beings of all species learned the lesson of Earth. What had been taught as a cautionary tale about dangerous Deathworlders became a story of misjudgment and redemption. And on planets once deemed too harsh for settlement, human pioneers worked alongside alien partners, teaching them how to thrive in environments they had feared. The Deathworld quarantine, intended to contain humanity, had instead created the perfect conditions for them to develop exactly the qualities the galaxy needed most. As Ambassador Hayes often remarked to her Confederation colleagues, "You trapped us on a Deathworld, but what you overlooked was that the Deathworld had forged exactly the allies you would one day need." On the anniversary of humanity's liberation, celebrations were held across Earth. People gathered to watch the night sky, now filled with the lights of visiting ships rather than the imprisonment barrier. The overlooked detail that had changed everything. That adversity breeds strength, that challenge creates innovation, that difficult conditions forge resilience, had become the foundation of a new understanding between worlds. Humanity had not just escaped its prison. It had transformed its jailers into partners, turning fear into respect and isolation into connection. The Deathworld had become a birthplace of hope.